What's up? My name is Brian Fanzo, founder of iSocial Fans, digital futurist, and massive fan of live streaming. I happen to be a full-time keynote speaker and do a lot in the virtual event space, full-time speaking, as well as evangelizing the power of live streaming. I've actually done a little over 3,000 live streams myself since 2014, nominated for Periscoper of the Year. And for me, a lot about live streaming is understanding its role, its benefit, and really helping people to, inspire them to press the damn button, which is kind of my mantra. And so for this video, what I was planning on doing is that we are live right now, and thanks everybody for jumping in and watching. I'm gonna go through the top 9 questions that I've been getting around live streaming video when it pertains to a virtual event. With all of the events moving from traditional offline conferences into online conferences, how does this all work? Where should we do all live? Where should live fit? Facebook Live, YouTube, all of that stuff. So what I'm gonna do for you guys here is I'm gonna actually talk to you about the top 9 live streaming questions that I've been getting around virtual event live streaming. So we're gonna kind of work all of these sticky notes here. As you can see, I'm a big sticky note fan. So we're gonna jump into question number 1. Hopefully those that are watching, you can throw your questions in the comments. But my goal here is to not only try to clarify the role of live video, but understanding how it impacts the businesses and the events, the sponsors, the speakers as well. And so the first one here is live video everything. So the first question that I'm getting, actually I just jumped to the second question. Well, funny enough, that should be the actual, the lesson learned is there's always something goes wrong when it comes to live streaming. And so the first question we have is that should all virtual events be on live video? And the easy answer is no. Not the entire event. The risk that comes with live video is very important to understand. And in my opinion, if there's no live components in a certain segment of a presentation, then that should be produced. It can be controlled. We can manage a lot of the audio and things that are happening. But at the same time, I do believe every event should include live streaming in some component. And what I mean by that is it could be before, after the event. I'm going to get into some of those in the upcoming questions. But for me, the thing I always say is the only thing you can guarantee with live video is something could go wrong, which you guys saw here. My other rule is that perfection's a fairy tale, which you guys saw here. And that control's an illusion. You can't control bandwidth and a lot of the things that go on in live video. And so to mitigate that risk, I'm a big proponent for using recorded video when it makes sense, and then using live video to amplify, to supplement, and kind of move forward from there. So that's a great first question, really talking about where that live video fits. So now we're going to jump into that second question, which says, why live video? Why should we press the damn button with live video? And the first thing for me is live video is what I call participatory content. Those that are watching this right now, you can ask questions and you can get my reaction, and I could ask questions to you, the audience. We not only can have that dialogue, but you can help shape the direction of the content, which I think is extremely powerful. The other piece of this is it shrinks the distance between the audience and the presenter. It allows us to feel as though it's not a one-way broadcast with, let's face it, with TV and so much being thrown at us and so many choices. That ability for us to shrink the distance is extremely important. The other piece here is it builds trust and conveys authenticity. Let's face it, anyone can edit a really good video. Anyone can answer a lot of programmatic questions, but being able to answer the questions on live video, even saying what I believe is the most popular phrase you can say on live video, which is saying, I don't know. That adds that authenticity, and it definitely builds the trust. And then last thing, it empowers the audience, right? The idea of the audience feeling as though they're not only is their voice heard, but they have an opportunity to participate in the content. They have an opportunity to even shape what's going on. They might get called out from one of the speakers or the hosts that are in the event. And let's face it, people wait on the phone to get their name heard on the radio to simply announce their favorite song. The idea of being a part of something and participatory is definitely extremely important when we're thinking about live video. All right, the third question here, it says, when should we be using live video? Well, I think live video, as I've kind of touched on before, it definitely has its role, but we also have to remember it will never replace produced video, right? I'm always look at this as live video amplifies great things that you're doing, and it allows that direct participatory access, but it's not going to replace what real production video can do. And then there's also a piece here where if even though you're presenting and you want the person to be live, or maybe you want the Q&A to be live with the presenter, if the presenter isn't going to see the questions, if the content's not going to come up on the screen and they're going to shift based on the live experience, we can do a produced video and then add on a live video component afterwards. And then there's another piece here is when the audio and video or even the lighting is something that could be risky. It's important to, hey, let's not use live video, let's use produced video, because we can do a lot of things in editing when it comes to making sure all of the audio sounds the same, making sure the lighting and the video, maybe you're adding some filters, maybe you're blurring out some things in the background, whatever it may be. And so when you're thinking about these are things that say, okay, what are my priorities? Is my priorities this? We should use produced. And then the last one there is when you need more than one take. For a lot of speakers, not only are we used to, presenting the same presentation over and over again, but, when we go virtual, talking into a camera, there's so many things that can go wrong. The technology could fail, the light bulb could go out, maybe the doorbell rings. And so when you're thinking about all of those different components, it's important to kind of factor that in, because with live, it's live, right? And you have to kind of roll with it. And so if there's a lot of variables in play, or maybe the presenter is even nervous about how this is all going to work, I definitely recommend you recording that and then adding the live video components later. So, it's not, when you shouldn't use live video, there's definitely some pieces there, but it's definitely a balance. What I'm doing here is really, a hybrid where I'm using a Prezi interactive presentation in a live video that, I'm also recording for you guys here. So I'm pushing the limits, but I've done over 3,000 live videos, and this is a lot of the things that I do when it comes to working with my clients. And so for me, there are definitely risk elements here, but there's also the reward of I can see the audience that's watching here right now, and shout out to, I see Jennifer and Eric. What's up? How are you guys? And I think those are big things to kind of think about, while at the same time remembering the value and the benefit. So, which platform is best is question number 4 for live video. I get this question all the time, and I hate this question. I don't think we should ever start with what platform we should use. You should start by saying, what does success look like for our video? And then after we determine what success looks like, okay, where is that audience at? What are the goals of this video? And then ultimately, what is the format and style of the live streaming video that you're looking to create? Because remember, there's different audiences, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Periscope, which is owned by Twitter. You have LinkedIn Live. You can go live streaming on Vimeo. You can live stream directly to Facebook. You could just do it on Zoom, whatever it may be. And so when all of these platforms, they add different value, they add different risk, they add, like a Facebook audience, it could be desktop or it could be mobile. It could be an audience that's used to live video. It could be an audience that isn't used to live video. On Instagram, for example, it's the only platform you're going to guarantee 99% of the people watching are doing it on their mobile phone. So you have to factor that in, right? Most people don't even think about that. On Twitter, you're able to use hashtags and the Twitter feed, so there's a better chance of growing a larger audience. But there's also an idea that you have a lot less control on who's actually watching it. You could even live stream into a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group to kind of control those variables. So for me, it's defining success, mapping the goals, and then the deciding which platform to actually stream to can be something you decide down the road. And actually what I'm using here is restream.io, and it's actually allowing me to stream this on multiple channels. So I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on Twitch, I'm live on Facebook Live, and I'm live here on Twitter, Periscope, and I can see all the comments as people comment here on the feed. And so there's a benefit for doing this as well, but there's also a risk. Managing all of these different feeds, making sure that everything's on, and I'm very lucky. I use a community manager for all of the brand live streams that I do, so that I can not only mitigate that risk, but she can monitor all of the different channels and make sure, A, that I'm not missing something, but B, that it's working the way that I want. So, question number 5. So, question number 5 is, when should virtual events include live video versus produced video versus pre-recorded? Now, I'm not sure if I'm the only one talking about it this way, but I think it's important to kind of separate these three, because in the virtual event space, we have things like, webinars, we have things like live, virtual platforms, we have Zoom meetings, you can live stream into, Slack, you can do all of these. So there's lots of different variables that are involved with virtual events. And so I would rather label and categorize the actual types of content. And so the three that I break down is live video. What I'm doing here is kind of a hybrid, but the live video piece is the participatory element, right? It provides access and allows the audience to participate. But if you're not going to have the audience participating in a certain segment of a presentation, I don't think you should use live. And so now your decision is produced or pre-recorded. And what I mean by produced versus pre-recorded is produced is you're going to actually think about this like a documentary or a YouTube video where you're going to think about it from like a thumbnail and maybe background music transitioning into B-roll, a lot of those extra, those components to maintain the audience's attention, to kind of continue that engagement and really make it, at a higher quality, a much more storytelling production level. Now, pre-recorded is, kind of talking head into the video, into the recorder. The nice thing about that is you can edit some of the ums, or if you make a mistake, you can make sure the audio all sounds good, that you're not getting fading in and fading out. And so when I look at this is, for those that are presenting, if you're giving a presentation, I believe it's pre-recorded for the presentation, it's live for the Q&A afterwards, and then maybe the promotional video is a produced video, or maybe even better yet, maybe one of your executives, you want to have an executive presenting in your virtual event. Why not do a really high-level produced video with B-roll and music, and you have them really interacting, and then as soon as that produced video is over, jump into a live video where it's a Q&A with them and the host. To me, the combination of these three is extremely important if you want to have success in this virtual event space, because let's face it, the audience, we don't have their captured attention like we do traditionally at an event. And so now it's our job to not only capture their attention, but maintain that attention, be creative to keep them engaged. And so that's why I think it's a combination of the three. So next question, it says add live plus produce. How do I combine produce video with live video to maintain audience attention? And I kind of touched that earlier, but I think one of the big pieces here is that you want to manage expectations out of the start. Right, for a lot of virtual events, if it's all produced video content, which is what I'm seeing a lot right now, then why would I show up? I'll just register, I'll wait for the event to be over, and you're going to email me the event, right? So you're going to, so there's not any real benefit for showing up. And even if I can only get the recordings on that same day, that benefit is still very limited. It's much more like a TED Talk or a YouTube video. And so for me, it's about a combination. Now, in the webinar space, we've heard this a lot, and people will say a webinar is live, but it's not really live. Like you're using some really good software like On24 or Big Marker, where they can take a webinar that you recorded live originally, they can actually make it appear live where your comments are the only ones that are actually seen on screen and such, but it's not really a live video. And to me, I think that doesn't fly for me, because I think you have to own the fact of what you're doing, how you're doing it. And so this is where I say it works really well for a combination, and even leveraging a little bit of that FOMO, that fear of missing out, right? So maybe when you're promoting the virtual event, hey, the produced presentations of our presenters will be able to be downloaded later, but the live Q&A with our host and our speaker after their session will not be downloaded later. You have to show up to be a part of that. Or maybe you'll do giveaways or some things that are also involved in that live component. And so for me, leveraging the combination of produced, pre-recorded, and live is essential for making this work. It also maintains attention, right? So if someone's watching a 10-minute video and they're like halfway through that, the presentation, maybe they're getting a little bit bored, but they know they have a chance to ask questions afterwards and get a real live response. That might keep them, more engaged, maybe maintain their attention, versus the fact that they know, hey, it's just another video, and we have a much more likelihood of kind of ejecting out of that. And so that's something really important when it comes to thinking about that. And then, jumping into this next question where we're talking about live video beyond the event. This is one that I love. I mean, look at all those, all those answers here. But the question says, how can you use live video to promote your virtual event before and after? And so I've listed a bunch of different options here. To me, that access into, understanding who someone is so powerful. Think about it this way. For an event, I'm actually speaking at an event tomorrow, a virtual event tomorrow, and I'm able to go live and talk to you guys about how much time I put into researching this presentation, how I customize my presentation and my examples, maybe some of the, additional, background on who I am, so that when you tune in, you'll kind of have that instant respect or trust of me. But it also allows people to like, wow, I really understand more about that event, get their questions answered. You can do a little bit of behind the scenes with live video, maybe showing, the day before the virtual event goes live. Really kind of, it's that word access, right? The other piece I like doing this is one of my favorite things to do is a daily recap, or maybe even multiple times in a day, live streaming publicly to Facebook Live, to YouTube, maybe to multiple platforms, and giving a recap of everything that's happened so far. What you'd be amazed on is, I do this with all of my paid webinars, is I go live directly after a webinar, and then people are like, oh my goodness, you talked about all of that? I'm like, I did. Oh, you're going to have to sign up for the next live webinar if you want to be a part of that, right? So giving them that live recap to the public, it really inspires a lot of people to have interest in being a part of maybe the next event, or maybe even downloading the recording. And so that's a big one for me. And then the other piece of this is understanding that role of live video to create, maybe it's access to the speaker, maybe it's multiple speakers, in a Q&A with the host. There's lots of different ways that you can really take live video and add additional value beyond the actual event itself. All right, we got 2 questions left. Hopefully you guys are sticking with me. I see the live audience there. We're ticking a little bit higher, so I appreciate everybody tuning in and sharing. Hopefully you're getting some good value out of these top 9 questions that I've received around live video for virtual events. So now on to question number 8. How do we engage the audience to interact and ask questions during the live stream? Now, I will tell you, this is one of the biggest misnomers, in my opinion, when it comes to live video. One of the things that we talk about a lot is the presenter can be overwhelmed because there's questions coming in and they might get off their train of thought. The thing that we forget about is we actually have to train the audience on not only why they should comment, but what kind of questions they should comment. We should show them examples of it. And so I think depending on your platform, that barrier, it can be extremely high. If you're going live to LinkedIn Live has been around for barely a year. And, I would argue a lot of people on LinkedIn, they're not going there to even think about video content at all. Therefore, you have to really manage expectations. Continue to remind people like, thanks guys so much for commenting here. I can see your comments. For those questions that are coming in, I'll make sure to get to those questions. Or even managing expectations to say, hey guys, I'm the host. I'm going to ask this speaker some questions real quick. And then after I ask them some questions, I'm going to bring in your questions. So make sure you submit your questions down low. That kind of dialogue is extremely important. It's also important to remember with a live video, you're not sure when someone has actually come in the room to actually watch the live. So maybe at the beginning you're telling people to ask questions, but then you start into your 20-minute Q&A. You want to make sure that either on the screen it prompts them to ask questions. Maybe there's a moderator in the chat that says, hey, just so you know, those that just jumped in, that will be taking questions from the audience, feel free to ask. Those are some of the things that you're definitely going to want to think about. The other piece is focusing kind of on open-ended questions, as well as questions that allow people kind of like both ends of the spectrum when it comes to answering, right? Like, what's your favorite movie from the 80s and a movie you wish they would remake in 2020, right? Where you're giving someone's like, I don't really have a favorite movie. What movie would I like retake? So you're giving kind of like 2 different variables, and most people will end up answering one or the other, but that kind of allows for that kind of of conversation to exist. And then the other piece is to make sure that when you're asking questions or you're taking it, you read out the person's name. You thank them for the ones that are that are actually submitting questions. You acknowledge. Sometimes it's not even answering the question. It's like, oh, I see your question in there, Erica. Actually, that's why I said I can see Erica's question right now. Thanks, Erica, for asking your question. I'll make sure to get to that. Something little like that will inspire others to actually ask more questions. So lots of different things you can do around getting your audience engaged. But it's really up to you, the speaker, the host. And what I like to do is I like to use a combination of speaker, host, and community manager, really that audience builder that is in the chat room, that is prompting questions. with my community manager, we actually throw up a Google Doc right behind the video that I'm looking at here, and she'll actually add questions like, Brian, make sure you go back and answer Anna's question, or Brian, make sure Vicky's question is taken care of, whatever it may be. She allows me to not feel overwhelmed with the questions. Maybe I'm missing something, but it's definitely a combination of all of those. All right, we made it to the last one. Hopefully you guys are sticking with me. The last one is how to limit live streaming risk. Well, I said when we started off, and you guys kind of saw it here on this video, that the only guarantee with live video is that something might go wrong. So one of the big things that is important is to make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you have a cell phone that has cell phone signal, that maybe if your Wi-Fi goes down or your bandwidth's not good, you can always go live from the mobile device. Or even having a second machine is important. I have my laptop here with the same software, and for any event that I'm live streaming, I will test and have the settings set up on my iPad just as well as I do on my computer, because you never know what could go wrong. Having a backup microphone, definitely not something bad to have, where I'm using this microphone here, but having kind of some of those things where it's plan B and different varieties of things to support you. And then the other piece of it is, with all of the variables of live streaming, it's important to train your speakers on how to use the software. If your speaker is not comfortable, you can use a remote producer. That's something I'm really good friends with some people that do some really great remote producing of virtual events. So they can be at their house and they'll do everything. They'll handle the questions coming on the screen. They'll handle, literally the speaker will just have to click one link on one button. It'll be up on screen and they can go live, right? Like that component is very powerful. And you can also do things, you can always adjust on the fly. And the other piece of it is, and I think this is probably important to kind of wrap a bow on this entire session, is that when something is live, the level of forgiveness is higher as long as you're owning it. And so I think one of the things you want to think about when it comes to live video is, how are you being transparent? How are you telling people like, hey, we're trying this out, let us know if you're having any audio issues or whatever it may be. I think that's extremely important. But probably the most important thing is really what you see right here. It says right there where it says press the damn button. I do believe every single virtual event, if you want to create a true virtual experience that maintains audience engagement, it connects, and builds that rapport. Hopefully, it keeps people, the audience, longevity, for a longer period of your event. And if you want to add those, elements of FOMO and get people to feel as though it's like a conference, right? Like part of the thing that people love about offline conferences is being able to talk to the speakers, interact with the, with other people in the networking lounge. And yes, we have chat rooms. Yes, we can do video chats, but that live access that live streaming gets is really something you can't get anywhere else. In my opinion, it is one of the single greatest ways that we can shrink the distance, maintain attention, build authority, and probably most importantly, establish trust with our audience. So my name is Brian Fanzo. You can get more information about all of this, a lot of the things that services and things that I'm doing as a host, as an MC, and as a strategist around virtual events at brianfanzo.com. And check out the hashtag press the damn button. I use that on a regular basis. And hopefully I've inspired you to press the damn button. If you have questions, feel free to put your questions down below here on the video. I'll make sure to answer all of those after this video is over. This is an emerging world of virtual events. I'm really focused on the virtual experience beyond just the individual event. And I do believe live video is going to be a driving force. And an event with live video, in my personal opinion, without live video, is not a virtual event. It's just an offline event or a recording for someone to watch. And we want to do a little bit better than that. So until next time, my friends, make it a great day. And remember, press the damn button. Cheers.